Hi everyone, welcome to another Ascending Tribe podcast, this time with Indigo, who's very much part of Ascending Tribe, and we are both going to be talking to and interviewing, allegedly, Dave.
Yeah.
I think you've seen quite a lot of allegedly Dave lately, so again, I do not need to introduce him. I think everyone by now knows exactly who allegedly Dave is. But yeah, we are talking about the event that's coming up on Sunday. Dave is going to be talking on Sunday in central London, and there are still few tickets left. There is a surprise happening there that we cannot talk much about at the moment because it's highly confidential, which makes this a very, very, very unique experience and unique event. Once in a lifetime opportunity. You will never see this again. It's never happened before. So yeah, let's just jump straight in. I know you're excited. I know you want to tell people, Dave, but we'll wait until Sunday. Let's just, do you want to say anything before I start jumping in and asking you questions?
Well, actually, I actually gave this talk last night and to a group in Buxton, and yeah, literally, everyone was kind of blown away, and me when I got to the end, I almost felt emotion. I got emotional because the ending bit is kind of emotional. It's okay. I did some cannabis journeys. Okay, and the thing about those is that when you sort of get this download of information, it's on sort of several different levels. So when I first got it, I didn't understand it. I understood it at a sort of very surface, shallow level, yeah. But as you start going, sort of learning more and understanding new concepts, you revisit it, and all of a sudden you get more information, and it takes on a different slant. And so when I got this information from this cannabis journey, yeah, it was interesting and stuff. But it wasn't until just before I asked to do a last talk, just before then, that finally this journey that I went on finally made sense, and I put it into the talk, and it's so astounding that I actually I couldn't help myself but tell people about it. Wow. Even though I wanted to keep it as a surprise, the surprise ending bit. But yeah, anyway. But yeah, the talk went really well, and everybody was like, wow, at the end. So it was good.
I bet you've blown people's minds, changed their perceptions, and now they're going to just go off and dig in even deeper, hopefully within themselves as well.
Yeah.
Well, that's the point, digging within yourself, actually. Yeah,
absolutely. And talking about that, you were a guest at our Sovereign seminar, Pathway to a New Paradigm, in London a couple of weeks ago. And so I kind of wanted to ask you, because you obviously didn't get a chance to speak, but I wanted to ask you what your opinion of sovereignty is and how your talks tie into sovereignty in terms of being able to stand more in that frequency and gain back your power in terms of the knowledge that you're putting out.
Well, sovereignty to me now, my sort of now perspective is it's now quite apart from this whole common law thing, right? It's the fact that we are the co-creators of this place. Yeah, it's not a simple matter of oh yeah, let's design this tree over here and this animal here. No, part of my talk goes into how we actually define how this world worked.
Wow.
Right. And it kind of means that you have to understand it, you've got to start thinking fourth dimensionally. Okay. We're right now, most of us are used to thinking third dimensionally, and it's hard to think fourth dimensionally. Right? But I think that's our destiny, though. Our destiny is to not only think fourth dimensionally, live fourth dimensionally. And once we're living fourth dimensionally, the next step is to learn how to think fifth dimensionally, and so on and so on and so on up. Yeah. And so right now, where our focus is on the third dimension, right? We've got a grasp of the fourth dimension now. Now, 150 years ago, nobody was thinking about time. Yeah. There's nobody thinking about time travel when they were plowing their fields, you know. Yeah. So we've sort of progressed to the point where now we've got a grasp on the fourth dimension. We now have got the first inklings of the fifth dimension, because it's only been, what, 40 years or so that people have been talking about the multiverse. Again, 100 years ago, nobody even could conceive of this idea of a multiverse, but now it's in the common psyche, right? As we learn more and sort of assimilate new concepts, that idea of the multiverse not only will become almost like common sense, we'll start to be able to use it. And so eventually we'll be in the fifth, living in the fifth dimension, and existence will be a totally different sort of, paradigm when we're up there, just like it will be a totally different paradigm when we eventually move to the fourth dimension. And I'm not talking about the new age idea of, this airy fairy fourth dimension idea, but it's something really tangible. Actually, it's something we can start to grasp now. I hope that makes sense.
Dave, can I ask, would the Nephilim, would they reside in the fourth dimension? Because the idea that there's something in a dimension higher than us that's controlling us in this one. And a lot of people say, like, I'm part of the fourth dimension, but from my research anyway, it seems like that's where they're controlling us from, because they're just a bit more aware of things, they can see more, hear more.
Right. It seems that, okay, you've got the fourth dimension, but it's like, there must be like a 3.5 dimension or something like that. Because when you go into the fourth dimension naturally, and here's a little spoiler, you go into the fourth dimension all the time when you daydream or imagine something, or you literally go into that space. More accurately, your focus shifts from the third to the fourth. Okay. Now, if you go in there naturally, you're there on your own, and you've got full control, for most part, of your experience there. If you go in there into it via unnatural means, so drink, drugs, certain physical practices, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. You end up in that almost the same space, but now you're visible to entities, and they're visible to you, and these entities, right? And I'll say they're the Nephilim spirits. They haven't got your best interests at heart. In fact, the second to last time that I had a cannabis journey, the cannabis told me, you don't need to do this anymore. Wow. And it wasn't actually saying it in the sort of tone that, you don't need to do this, right? It was more like, don't do this, don't keep doing this, because it was kind of warning me that essentially the more I do it, the more I'll open myself up to these entities.
Wow.
Quite mind-blowing. Can I go back a little bit, and then I want to come back to this, because there was like 5,000 questions that came into my head just like this always happens. When we evolve into the fourth dimension, or we're already going that way, as you say, I feel a lot of us are going through very dark and challenging times. Everyone's feeling very heavy. Everyone's feeling this dense energy. Everyone I'm speaking to at the moment is going through something really heavy. As we evolve up through the dimensions, are we still going to be experiencing life challenges?
Okay, so actually, the talk is actually called the Adam's Journey. right? It's this is what we're actually going through. We are essentially Adam. You know, I might have spoken to you guys about this before, but there is only two strategies to learn and grow and create new things. And you know, first one's immortality, right? So you live forever and you keep, you know, learning new things and coming up with new things. But there's a problem with that, because your mentality or your personality mentality is like almost becomes fixed. It's then very difficult to come up with new things, because you're now almost stuck in your ways now. Okay, the better strategy is the strategy we're in now, is children propagation. So you propagate yourself, or you project yourself forward in your children. And you know, when you have children, what do? You teach those children all the things that you've learned, essentially, so that they don't have to start where you started. So it's like handing off the baton to these children, yeah, and they carry on. But now they've got a fresh perspective on life, and now they can come up with things that you couldn't come up with, right? So yes, there will be challenges, because you know I think the point of this particular game is to learn the lesson of good and evil. And I'm sure there's more depths of evil that we haven't explored yet, but you know, it's necessary for us to experience them, so that we know the good. As I was saying, this is a journey of Adam. Adam started off in perfection. He started off in paradise, you know, in the garden. All his needs were met. Everything he wanted to have happen would happen. Yeah. And the point is, he didn't know where he was. He had no idea. He's in paradise. Everything, you know, comes to him. But, you know, it's like, I don't know any different. So, you know, what is it? Now, I liken that to when I was in St. Lucia. And again, I hope I'm not repeating myself.
No.
When I was in St. Lucia, I went to a beautiful fishing village called Mikud, and I could see it as we were driving towards it. You could see it, and it had a lovely little beach that was between two cliffs and looked gorgeous. But we got down there, and I thought, I'm going to go to the beach. Got to the beach, and it was literally caked with litter, about 5 inches deep of litter over the whole beach. And I realized it's because the people there don't know they live in paradise, right? So they just take it for granted because they know nothing other than paradise, right? So for them to know where they are, they would have to come over here. They'd have to come over here and learn that the streets aren't paved with gold, and maybe live on the street for a while and end up taking drugs and have a really, really bad time to find their way back to St. Lucia and realize, wow, this is paradise. This is wonderful. Yeah. And that's the journey that we're on. With Adam left the garden and had to go through, again, through us, had to go through the depths of depravity and darkness and all the nasty stuff. And we are essentially right now, we're in the depths of darkness now. Right? We're waiting for the dawn, but it's got to get a bit darker before the dawn breaks. And then the dawn will break. There'll be other lessons to learn, but essentially we'll be on the way back to Eden. Right. And when we get back to Eden, now we know the whole of what this dimension offers, and we realize where we are now. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
So basically, it's like a journey of gratitude, is what it feels like to me. Like Adam is learning appreciation for where Adam came from.
and the gift that we've been given, and then once we're there, we're ready to go on to the next place where a similar journey will take place, right? Of exploring the fourth dimension and whatever lesson that dimension is there to teach us.
So can I ask about the yuga cycles? Is this very similar to that concept?
I would say yes, because this universe that we're in is fractal and holographic. So fractal in the regard that it's a very simple pattern, right? And that pattern gets repeated over and over and over, that generates all the complexity that we experience, right? And holographic is essentially that the whole thing is in every part, right? So it's going to be similar at every level. So the same themes are going to repeat themselves. So in our world, most of our stories are the hero's journey, which is a reflection of Adam's journey, which is a reflection of human history. The history is Adam's story, his story. The his in that place is Adam. We're living Adam's story. So the Yuga cycles, Terence McKenna, Time Wave Zero. He proposed that he realized that we're living in a cyclical environment, and the Mayans with the Mayan calendar. Their calendar is cyclical. It's the same thing. Just as Terence McKenna says, whatever is in this fourth dimension, right, throws off reflections of itself, which ricochet throughout time and space. So they just keep popping up. In fact, now that I mentioned Terence McKenna, I'm going to probably begin by playing a song from 1993. So well before I woke up, well before I knew about I was just just an ordinary muggle. I listened to this song from 1993. It was Re-Evolution by the Shaman. I don't know if you've heard it.
No.
It's barely a song, really. It's just this strange man speaking about stuff that doesn't make any sense whatsoever, right, for 8 minutes over music. Right? Now, for some reason, even though I didn't know what this guy was talking about, I memorized every word.
Wow.
And not only every word of the song for 8 minutes, I memorized every tonality, every cadence, every the rhythm of his speaking, everything. Right now, to this day, I know every single word. If the truth can be told so as to be understood, it will be believed. This has been such a radical break. I know every word, and I don't know why I memorized it, but as I started this journey, I started to understand what he was saying. But again, sorry, this is Terence McKenna, by the way, and I had no idea who it was, but as I started the journey, Terence McKenna popped up, and I was like, "That's the voice, that's him!"
Wow.
And so as I was learning more, Terence McKenna's words started to make sense, but again, his words are like multidimensional. For instance, instead of using the word "the past," he'll refer to it as the regression. Regression into novelty, right? I'm now I'm trying to pick out one bit. I can't. I never know it in a
one from start to finish.
Yeah. So he calls the past the regression into novelty. What does that mean? Okay. So you can see it as, okay, newness is up here in the future, and we're going that way in regression. So I guess that's the past. But it implies other things, that the motion into the future is about novelty, new things, and coming up with new things. And so regression from that is regressing into a simpler, more stale existence. But as we're progressing, we're coming up with new things, and not only complexifying our world, but coming up with new things and new exciting concepts and stuff, and which is what we're here for, bringing out the new.
Yeah. Oh, I love Terence McKenna as well, though. Just reminded me of how timeless his talks are as well, and how wise that guy was. I want you to delve a little bit more into what you were talking about, that we are all immortal, in the sense that I'm trying to comprehend it in my mind. So do you mean that every time we come back and have a human life, because what I'm trying to think about is the amnesia that we come into when we come into existence as a human, and you're talking about us being immortal, but us as the fragment, or not us? Us as in Adam, or I'm just trying to understand. Can you delve a little bit deeper into that for me?
Okay, so Dave isn't immortal. Alex isn't immortal, right? Because immortality was granted to Adam, and so we're now the plan B type thing here. But from another point of view, there is only one mind here. Okay? There is only one mind here. Right? If you think of a child alone in their bedroom, and they've made a shoebox theater, right? Well, he's made out little cardboard cutout characters, and you can't do this. Yes, I can. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. So that's only interesting for a little while, because you know what they're going to do, because you're making them do it. Yeah. The better strategy would be to give them, these cardboard characters, their free will, and let them go, let them do what and then sit back and watch. Right. So yes, he is animating them, but he's giving them part of his awareness, but saying, right, pretend you're not me, and just act as you think you would. Okay, so yes, there is only one mind here, but fragments of his mind are playing different characters, and I keep going back to when my son used to play video games, and there's a certain game you play that you'd have to define your character first. Yeah, you give him so much strength, give him so much courage, this, that, and the other, and then you go and play that character, right? And if that character plays well, you keep him, right? Oh, you say, okay, that was a good one. I'm going to keep him. But if that character doesn't play very well, okay, you end up deleting him so that you got space for others. Yeah. So in one respect, you are immortal, because you are going to come back, because there is only one you, right? But what dies is the personality, the ego, the personality that gets formed over decades as you learn and experience stuff. You create a brand new ego, a personality, which I guess it starts actually before you're born, I guess, because your parents give you parts of themselves, so it's like setting some of the initial settings, like my son did with his video game. So some of the settings are set there, but then you take over as you start to become aware of your surroundings, and you define your personality, and that personality is what dies. But just like a leaf on a tree, that leaf grows, and then autumn comes and that leaf shrivels up and falls off. But next spring, there's a leaf exactly in the same place. right? The only thing that fell off and is on the ground there is that ego, the experiences that that particular leaf went through, right? But next spring, it's back.
What if we don't want to come back?
Well, if you don't want to come back, I don't think you get a choice. I don't think this is a choice thing. Again, this new age thing, is this idea that you are the most high, from that aspect, you are the most high and you get a choice. I'm going to do this. I'm going to control this. No, it's like your I'm losing my words now. Your relationship to the Most High is like Oliver Twist to Charles Dickens. Yeah. So Oliver Twist is Charles Dickens in a way, because Oliver Twist came from the mind of Charles Dickens. Yeah. And Charles Dickens have basically, defined this character, gave him free will, and sat back and started writing down what they did. Yeah. Yeah. So, but Oliver Twist can't stand there and say, I'm Charles Dickens, because he's not. He is from a small perspective, but he's not. So he doesn't have a choice about where he incarnates. For instance, he can't say, "Oh, I want to now be in the year 400, 4,450 or whatever." Yeah, because no, the Most High has defined how he's going to live or where he's going to live. Yeah, does that? I just came up.
That was a perfect example of Charles Dickens and Oliver Twist. Yeah. Can I just ask quickly, why, for you, you feel the Most High is a he, a fatherly figure, a masculine energy?
Yep. Yeah. Well, because okay, obviously the Most High isn't a male or female, right? But he's a creator, and that archetype is a masculine energy, the direction, creation, intention, energy. Okay. And obviously this isn't going to be sort of a very popular idea, but the female energy is the complementary to the masculine energy. Yeah. Eve was created afterwards, right? Because Adam was incomplete, right? So Eve was created afterwards to complement, and the relationship between male and female is a complementary one.
Yep.
And to make a whole. So yin and yang, isn't it? So you can't have one without the other, because it's unbalanced. And that was, again, in the book, that's what it says. A helper wasn't found. Yeah. And so Adam needed a helper, needed something to make him whole. So the generative aspect, the Most High, is a masculine energy. That's it. And it's manifest as the male gender, but it's just an energy. It's just an attitude. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. And up until now, I always felt like it was the patriarchy. But we discussed last time we spoke is there's not even a patriarchy. It's actually the Nephilim's kind of imprint on the planet. And so I always felt like, everyone's referring to God or the Most High as a man. But what you've just said, talking about the direction, like leading lines forward, that really does resonate and make sense to me.
Yeah. As I say, the Most High doesn't have a physical form. Right? So Adam was created in his image and likeness. And so it wasn't a physical image and likeness. It is, his mind, as it were, his spirit, the way he acts.
Wouldn't the Most High encompass female attributes, as in energetically? I'm not talking about physically, obviously, but wouldn't the Most High have attributes of both to be able to create? Because without the masculine, obviously, we can't create. Women are the holders of life, in a sense.
Right. Well, again, if you think of it from the beginning, Adam was created to be immortal. So there was no, need for, reproduction. Right? Now, the need for the feminine only comes along if there's duality.
Yeah.
Right. If it's just Adam on his own, right, there is no need for a binding energy, because he is there. He's whole. He's, that's him. But when you come into this idea of duality, more than one, right, then now you need a binding energy. Okay. In Paleo Hebrew, the words for mother and father are quite interesting. Again, did I mention this before to either of
We
you?
spoke about it on my one. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So again, I talk a lot of this stuff, so I don't know who I talk to. But yes, the words mother and father basically encompass, what it means. Father is strength, power, leadership, guidance of the house, home, family, bloodline. So it's that sort of direction, leadership, creation, that sort of thing. And mother is the word for glue, strong water. Yeah. So it's that binding, holding together. Yeah. And for a family to work, you need both. You can't, single families, sorry to if there's single families out there, single families don't work very well. But they need both sides to do their part to make a family work. So yeah.
What's your view on the fact that people have the both feminine and masculine inside them? Like we both have that energy within us. Maybe you don't agree with this concept, but for me, I can sort of feel it in the way that I work. I'm very masculine, like I'm very masculine heavy in my energy, otherwise I wouldn't be getting so much done. And I struggle with the feminine side, which is obviously the flowing, the slowness. Like I struggle with that.
Right. Well, again, this is another new age type concept that's been implanted in us. But humans, there isn't a standard human. Yeah, we're a range. We're almost an infinite range. So that range includes the tomboy, amongst the women, or the kind of more feminine type man. That's just a range of personalities. Yeah. now, unfortunately, and again, this isn't going to be popular with some people, the whole transgender, homosexual, all that stuff, it's a Nephilim, implant. The Nephilim, look at the Baphomet, for instance. The Baphomet is half male, half female, right? In their temples, right? They used to do all sorts of perverted things, bestiality, homosexuality, all that stuff, right? That's their thing. And they've forced that onto humanity, right? I know that's not going to be popular, but literally, if you read the book and all the other books that should have been in there, it just starts to make sense. That no, we're a very not standard. I'm trying to find a word for it. We're a very sort of straightforward race of beings. But our purpose, our lives have been tipped upside down by this outside force that has come in and corrupted us all.
Sorry, Alex, quickly, just to confirm, we heard it here first, allegedly, Dave. The concept of like the divine feminine rising in men is a new age psyop. It's not. It doesn't resonate with your beliefs. The idea that we have the duality within us and we've got to find that balance to become a balanced human.
No, I mean, there is only one Most High. There's only one Creator up there, and He encompasses all. Right. Again, the feminine had to really come about, or the focus on femininity had to come about when duality basically came into it, and there needed to be that complementary relationship that had to come in. But it was always there. And again, in each of us, we have the ability to, again, a range of personality to be more feminine if we wanted to be, or more masculine if we, again, these are terms that we've given far more importance than we should, really, far more of a focus than we should.
But you're not saying that male is more important than female in terms of, or are you saying that?
No.
Well, I'm just trying to understand like what you're trying to say.
Both are complementary.
So both are just as important as each other.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm seeing that, in even if there's not a family, even in a relationship, right? It's when you get into a real loving relationship, you realize what's been missing. That you realize that I needed that complementary part in my life. So and that makes me see things differently. Yeah. It hones the directionality. It hones the way I see things, the way I act in the world. Yeah. So without it, you can go on quite nicely and all that, but as soon as you bring that in, now you realize, oh, actually, this is a different way to be, and it's and I think it's better. Yeah, and it is better. Right. It's not a case of one is better than the other. Again, that's something else that's been brought in to destroy the family. Yeah. If you get men and women fighting each other, which is what's going on out there now, right? This is why dating is broken, because men and women are fighting each other now. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I noticed that part of the agenda to break men and women up, I was looking from a male perspective, is that the idea is that women are not loyal anymore. That's a message that's been put out of this the social media space now, right? But that's not true, because just look a couple of generations ago. People were being married for like 50, 60, 70 years,
Yeah.
So that's not always been the case. Something has changed. And that something is an intentional
feminism.
Feminism. Yeah. It's an intentional thing to try and break up the family and split us off into individual separate beings that now can be picked off one by one.
So love makes the world go round, and unions are a beneficial experience for us in terms of helping us to see and grow and explore in different ways. Why do you feel some people struggle? I mean, I think maybe you just answered this maybe, but why do you think people struggle to find union or find a partner that they can stay with long term?
Well, again, our minds have been corrupted. Now, one of the things that myself and my girlfriend are actually working on is a new type of dating, right? Because our heads are full of rubbish now, right? Not only decades and decades of fake love programming from TV and movies and stuff. Our heads are full of EastEnders and all this stuff, and we don't really know how to live anymore. Right? Social media has added another layer of rubbish that we don't know anything anymore. Right? So this idea that we had about a new approach to dating, right, is okay. So why today's dating is broken is because, you know, most people have now got lists of things that we expect even out of the gate before we even get to, you know, finding out who this person is. We've got a whole list of things that this person has to embody, you know. And you know, so if for instance the guy isn't 6 foot tall, doesn't matter how wonderful he is, he won't even get a look in because no, it doesn't match this first one. Yeah. No six pack. Oh, sorry. No, you're right. Yeah. So there's all these things that have been implanted that are totally artificial, right? And we've gone away from the natural. Now, you know, what was the natural? Well, you know, maybe 2 or 3 generations ago, people wouldn't actually date, not in the way that we see it now. They would look across the room and go, "That's her," or "That's him," right? And that would be it. Something would grab our attention, and we'd go, "Yes, that's the one." And then they get together and stay together for 50 or 60 years. Yeah, right. So okay, so one of the things, you know, when in this project we're doing is okay. Okay, should I say it? Yeah, all right. So we're going to get our sort of people who come along to this event. Before they come along, they have to wear a t-shirt for a few days, right? Without perfumes or deodorants or anything. Just wear a t-shirt for a few days, and then when they come along, we put it in a Ziploc bag and put a number on it. Okay. And all the men's t-shirts are going to be on one table, and all the girls' t-shirts are going to be the other. And one of the things we're going to do is the men and women are going to come in, and they're going to just open the bag and have a sniff. Yeah. And yes, some of them, they're going to go, "Oh, God," you know, and oh, that's horrible. But there'll be 1 or 2 that are going to go, that doesn't sound bad. Yeah. Right. Because one of the things that we've forgotten is that smell plays a part.
Massive.
And you know, the artificial part of this world is, you know, has demonized our own personal smell. Yeah, and said, no, that's disgusting. You have to cover it up with these chemicals and stuff, so that you don't smell like you smell like I don't know, a rose garden or Brute 33 or whatever.
Yeah, you know? Yeah, leather.
Right, but you know what would happen before is that you'd go past somebody and you'd catch a smell of something and go, "Oh, what was that?" And the attraction would be there just from something you smell. Now, it turns out that that's actually true. So there was an experiment. Now, if you imagine, there are 5 different factors for immunity and stuff. Let's call them A to E, right? 5 different factors of immunity. Now, if a woman, for instance, has, you know, or she's lacking in A, C, and E, right? She would naturally be attracted to somebody who's high in A, C, and E, so that their children will have a full immunity.
Wow.
Right? So, and, you know, you can detect that through smell. And it turns out that, you know, they did an experiment, and that's exactly what happens, except there was like 20% of women who seemed to choose randomly, and I couldn't figure out why. And eventually it became apparent that those women were on the pill, and the pill was interfering with their ability to detect those factors. So and when this idea became apparent, some of the researchers were like, "Oh, that explains everything," because they got together with their wives, and then when they had their first child, the woman went off the pill, and all of a sudden the woman was no longer attracted to the man because
oh wow,
because you know, now that they could actually, there was no attraction.
Wow.
Oh my God, you know, I love this conversation because I love my partner's natural smell, like, and I tell him it all the time. And even when I know, like, this is going to sound disgusting, but obviously we all have BO in it. Like, but even when I know I'm a bit smelly, like, or I know I need to have a shower, he'll tell me like, oh, you don't smell, you smell lovely, you know, like that. But like there was this film that I watched a couple of weeks ago. I'll have to think of the name now. I think it's called The Love Test or something like that. It was like some weird, quirky film. And it was about, well, I won't go into what it's about, but basically the psychologist got these couples to be blindfolded. They were meant to wear a t-shirt for like 3 days. And the whole thing what you've just told me have just reminded me of this film. And then they come into a room, they're blindfolded, and they have to find their partner through smell. And there was like a few of them that did it, a few of them that didn't. And yeah, it was a very weird, quirky film. And I was just like, actually, this is kind of true, this whole experiment. Like, I reckon I could, I said to my partner, I was like, I reckon I could smell you out. But he would hate that I said that because he's quite OCD. He's very clean. But yeah, so
again, that's the programming, isn't it? Right? It's not dirty that you have a natural smell, but the system around us has demonized your natural smell and says that's dirty, that's horrible. Right? No, you've got to cover up that smell with these chemicals that are going to poison you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my girlfriend, when I went to visit her in Hong Kong when she was there, right? I was just about to leave, and she said, "Could you leave one of your t-shirts?"
Oh, I need that in my life.
Because the smell. And I literally just left her like a couple of hours ago, right? And in the car, right, I'm driving in the car, and I can still smell her on me. And I was like, oh well. I was like, because I could still smell her. Yeah. So yeah, it's very powerful. And so our little project we're trying to put together, right, is literally going to take the focus away from trying to find that partner, trying to find a connection, to more of fun and games. Let's have a night of fun and games, but the games are built around finding that connection, right? Using the old-fashioned, what we would be attracted to naturally. Right, so I'm not going to go into all the games. I've given you one big one there, but yeah, I want to keep the secret of it. But the point is that if we do it that way, we can take away all the embarrassment, all the ego, strip away all the crap, right? And people can actually relate to each other without all the rejection, because it's fun and games. Yeah. So yeah, that's where we want to go with it, because we've recognized that dating has been irrevocably broken. Unless we can get away from this society. And that's one of the things I'd like to do. I'd like to start the new Luddite party or something. Yeah, because this technology has never been our friend. None of it is our friend. I'd like to strip all the technology away and then only take back, just like the Amish, only take those technologies that enhance us and don't take away from the man or woman. Yeah. And we don't need cell phones. That's a big one. We don't need cell phones. Somehow we managed to get along without them, 30 years ago. Yeah. Right? We didn't need them. We can have a phone in our house with an answer phone or something on it, so that if we do get a call, there's a message, we can get the message. Right. But we don't need this tracking device that's slowly irradiating us. Yeah, we don't need this thing on us all the time.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I'd like to strip away all this technology and only take back what we can actually use that doesn't hurt us.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, it's slightly on the darker side of this, but I was watching something yesterday about Ed Gein, one of the biggest killers in America. And one of his things, is he would be collecting people's clothing. When you get stalkers, people that harm women, they're often, they want to smell their underwear. And if you think about, take away your opinion on what they're doing, it's like something deep happens inside that man when he smells the aromas of a woman that, for an unbalanced man, it completely turns him crazy, literally. And, people are always sending underwear all over the place. And it's only really in the seedy sex industry now that kind of is accepted. But actually, it was like you said, Dave, it would be nothing to walk past someone and feel deeply connected to them, and we don't even know that our body might be needing something that their body has on like a chemical level, and that's why we're drawn to it. And I'm on TikTok and Instagram Live while this is happening. A lot of people are dropping comments, and when you was talking about the pill, that's mind blowing to think that you're drawn to the wrong person because of this pharmaceutical tablet. You have a child with him, you think you've got the best life, you then come off the pill to realize that is everything I don't want. How scary. And that must be millions of women, and millions of women that don't even know it yet. They're 10 years into their relationship with their husband, they still haven't stopped taking the pill. It's like a decade in, and then suddenly it's like a whole new person. And you're most of the time, these women, for my opinion, they're taking the pill so that they don't get pregnant, or the guys are taking it or having the snip so they don't get pregnant. And to me, it's just so lazy. Just don't have sex during the time when, you're ovulating. Like, learn about the cycles to stop what's happening naturally within yourself, or to have the snip. I don't know what you think about that. Your sacred life force is within your, in your ejaculation. That's just so extreme to me, and part of this Nephilim plan.
And you know what? Again, this idea that you want to limit the number of children you have. Right? Again, that's something implanted in us because of this society.
Wow.
Because having children costs money, and and it's going to restrict your life and all this sort of stuff that's not natural. Yeah. Again, it's been implanted in us so that we our families get smaller and smaller and smaller. Yeah. And again, they can isolate us and pick us off. Yeah, wow. It's all about depopulation. It's always been about that.
Wow. What is your opinion on polygamy, from the stance that we're spiritual beings and we get to experience each other's like chemistry, and we're here to experience each other because we're all fractals of a higher form, if you like? Like, what is your thoughts on polygamy from that sense?
Polygamy, more than one wife, that sort of thing. Personally, I don't think it works. I don't think it works at all, because it's a recipe for strife. It's hard enough having one relationship, right? And then when you have another person, a three body problem, yeah, things start going. Because it's not just strife between one couple. Now there's like strife between 3 different types of couple.
Yeah.
And people go to the Bible and say, look, this person has more than one wife. But when you really examine it, you find that it doesn't quite work. It never quite worked. And the first person who had more than one wife was a guy called Lamech of Cain, but he was of a cursed bloodline, right? So he had 2 wives, and things didn't go well for him either. But yeah, when you actually look into those occasions where people had more than one wife, it never goes quite well with them. And I don't want to turn this into a Bible study, but I could go into, for instance, Jacob and his 2 wives, Rachel and Leah, and you'll find that it's not quite as straightforward as it seems to go in Genesis and stuff. But yeah,
it's interesting that it's always the man with multiple women. Are there any stories of like women with multiple men?
In African tribes, there were, I believe.
Everywhere in Basildon, sorry.
In Basildon.
Sorry if you're from there.
No, and in the Bible, no, it's not. That's not how it works, really. No.
Interesting. Can I talk a little bit more about the Nephilim, because I know a little bit about the Nephilim, but can you explain to me, who are the Nephilim? Where did they come from? In my head, it's like Nephilim with the giants, right? They were the
Mhm.
giants. And do they have anything to do with the Anunnaki? Am I going off into a different story right now? Can you give me a little bit more clarity about the Nephilim?
Okay, so there is only one story. All right. Now, in the Old Testament, it's, fallen angels having sex with women and spawning their own race. Okay. The same story is the Anunnaki. Yeah. In their story, it's these aliens from planet Nibiru come down and have sex with women or create a race under them, and so on and so on. And it's also the old gods of all the pagan religions. So the Greek gods are the fallen angels and the Nephilim. The Roman gods, the Egyptian gods, they're all the same characters. And if you factor in, the Tower of Babel story, where everyone has spoke the same language, and then they all dispersed, right? They took the stories of the same fallen angels, right, but with different names, right? And add in Chinese whispers. The stories that went with them are similar, but they kind of peter out as Chinese whispers styly. But they're all talking about the same characters. And yes, the first generations of the Nephilim were giants, were at least 450 foot tall. And that relates to the Titans of Greek mythology, right? But then the next generation got smaller. So they were maybe 35 foot tall, and they became the Olympians in Greek mythology. So there was the Nephilim, then the Nephil, and then the Eljo in the Hebrew. So you got the Titans, the Olympians, the demigods, Hercules, Perseus, all those. So yeah, there's only one story, right? And but different storytellers, and giving them different names. But that's the main crux of the Nephilim story. That's something that angels came down and had sex with women and started their own race. But what I add to it is, I guess my research with a bit of speculation added in, that before this civilization, there was a previous one, and that was governed by an angel. Okay. And that previous civilization fell into wickedness, and the Most High wiped it out totally, right? Killed everybody that was there because they were so wicked. And then when everything started again, Most High decided to do something different. And that's when he created Adam to be the immortal governor of earth. Right? Instead of leaving it to an angel, he created a being in his own image, his own mindset, right, to govern the earth. Okay. But the angel that was the previous governor didn't like it. He was like, who's this mudman you've created? I was here first. Why is he taking my job? Yeah, I'm more powerful than him. I'm not going to bow down to him. Right. So he rebelled, and when he rebelled, right, his motivation was to exterminate Adam, to kill him. Right. He couldn't kill him directly, so the first thing he had to do was take away his immortality. And that was the story of the apple in the garden. Okay, not about eating fruit at all. Right. The second attack was to now that plan B was Adam's children were going to be the governors of earth. Yeah. So the next attack was to destroy Adam's bloodline. And that was the fallen angels, the 200 fallen angels coming down and having sex with humans. The third attack, I believe, is what we're living through now, the depopulation, right? So the final depopulation, because, if you've got a small number of these beings trying to exterminate, billions, they can't go directly. They have to move very slowly, put their chess pieces in place, and then when everything's in place, strike. And that's where we are. We're in the end game. Yeah.
Are you going to be going more into detail in this on Sunday?
I'm not going to go into detail about you know, what the Nephilim are doing. I'm obviously going to go into detail about what I've just said about the attacks, the various attacks on Adam.
Yeah.
And I don't need to go into much detail about what they're doing now because it's all around us. But I'm focusing more on our faculties, our attributes, you know, what we can do, what we are doing. Yeah. And even no matter what happens, what's going to inevitably happen and where our destiny lies.
Wow.
So jumping back a question to the very, very beginning that I asked you about sovereignty and what people can take away from this talk in terms of sovereignty. You have taught workshops and done talks about paperwork and doing the correct paperwork. Do you still believe in that process, or do you feel in this time that's no longer needed now?
Well, okay. Well, you know, we are, you know, I'm trying to say we are, you know, an aspect of the Most High. We're engaged in a journey, a very, very powerful journey, right? But, you know, on a day-to-day level, individual level, you still have to deal with the council. Right? We can't, we're not transcending that. Yeah. We have to find a way to work in this world. And yes, I'll show people how to you know, write paperwork to deal with these people. But what I'm showing people really is how to get rid of the fear of these people. Right. So for instance, I'm showing people how to deal with speeding tickets. There's a really good way of dealing with these speeding tickets. But once you understand that way, you lose the fear of them, you know, speeding tickets, parking tickets, all that stuff. Yeah. And then you get to where I am, right? Now I've written these letters over and over and over again. Now I can't be bothered. Now I've lost the fear of it so much. Now I've got a stack of these parking tickets and speeding tickets and whatever that I can't even be bothered with anymore because I've lost the fear of it. I've lost the, you know, I'm not concerned with it anymore. So I was actually answering a question for somebody else who contacted me the other day about how to walk away from this matrix, right? And so that's relevant, you know, with regard to your question there. You lose the fear of it, okay? Lose the fear of it, and do your own thing, right? So this person said, "Well, I'm in the matrix. I have to have a job because I've got these things to pay for, and I've got to keep a house and whatever." Right? And I said, "Well, you know what? Jobs are going to go away. That's the next part of the plan. Yeah. So don't be an employee. Find what you like to do. Find what you are good at. Find the thing that gets you out of bed in the morning. Yeah. Right. And do that in a way that will help people."
Wow.
Right. And if you do that, if you live your purpose, right, because that is your purpose, right, then the Most High will just move obstacles out of the way and allow you to live your purpose that is helping other people around you. Yeah. So I know I have to be vague about how to get out of the matrix because, you know, my solution isn't everybody else's solution. This is my solution, right? There are an infinite number of ways for you to step out of the matrix and do your own thing. Right?
Yes.
The point of this matrix is that all your energy is being harnessed by this system. Yeah. Right now, there are people betting on you, whether you do well or you do badly. Yeah. If you do really well and become a CEO of a corporation, makes millions or whatever, there's somebody who's bet on you and they make big money off of your back. Yeah. If you end up, doing badly, you end up in prison and whatever and whatever. There are people who have bet against you who are making big money on your back.
Wow.
Yeah? So you are powering this system and you don't even know it. Everything you do in the system is powering the system in some way. And there are people who are benefiting on what you're doing. Yeah. So what I'm trying to tell people is to start removing yourself from powering their system, right? So if you start, stop being employed, right, and start helping people, well, that can't be taxed. you can't be taxed on, how much you're helping people, right? So now you're not paying tax into the system. Yeah. Now you've got a different system that you're working between people, real people, that isn't powering the system. Yeah. So, you just slowly remove yourself from the matrix by doing your own thing and being you rather than being an employee, being a slave of the system.
That's profound. That's what me and Alex are always trying to do when it comes to sovereignty. Like when I was on the stage on the pathway to the new paradigm, I wanted to speak about this concept called Hoshaku Kempon, which is to cast off the transient version of yourself and to reveal who we truly are. And in a sense, there's no point doing all the paperwork if you're going to have a lot of fear within you still, if you don't understand the journey that you're going on and that. So that's really, for me, it's crucial in any kind of spiritual or sovereign space, like to truly know who you are first and foremost. And to believe that fully, and then therefore you get to the point where actually all of these stacks of speeding tickets literally mean nothing to me because I know the system inside out. I know that I'm sovereign. I know that you're lying to me. I know that it's full fraudulent. So I've won already. It's that kind of knowing. I've got one more personal question on my side, just to bring it back to Adam. Just a practical kind of, if you could help me get past this. So you said that the Nephilim, the second round was to attack the bloodline of Adam. Just practically, the bloodline of Adam at the start must have been completely incestual.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that your truth? Would that have had to have happened? Would have Eve would have had to have son with sex with Cain maybe, and start it that way? Her own son maybe.
No. The incident in the garden again was an angel having sex with Eve, right? And Eve then had sex with Adam, showing him what to do, right? Cain and Abel had two different fathers. Okay.
Oh wow. Okay.
So
I didn't know
Cain
that.
was a child of the angel, and Abel was the son of Adam. Okay. So that's a wickedness that comes from the angel bloodline, right? So Cain became the first killer, right?
Wow.
So Adam and Eve went on to have lots and lots and lots of children, and yes, there was what you would call incest going on there, right? There would have to have been, yeah. And but again, at the beginning, it's not a genetic problem as such. It only becomes a problem later and later into this, where our genes are weaker because now we're like copies of copies of copies of copies of copies. Yeah. So once the genetic diversity is now huge, now it becomes a problem when you sort of have a very close genetic thing going on. But at the beginning, when the genes were strong as such, it wasn't a problem. The same thing happened after the flood. We had 8 people left. Yeah. Okay. So it's the same issue, but again, it only becomes a problem when we're down to this level, and we've got this massive genetic diversity. But then if you try and get brother and sister together, perhaps, right? Then there are problems. Yeah.
No, thank you so much.
Can I also add to that question actually, about root races and where race came from, and what your knowledge is around root races.
Okay, so this idea of root races is another construction, right? Again, there was at one point. Okay, so, and I go through this in the talk as well. I believe there are 5 different types of being here. Okay, the first would have been Neanderthal. Okay, again, if you read the Old Testament, you'll find that there were 2 creations. In Genesis 1:27, and then again in Genesis 2:7, 2 different creations, 2 different creators. And so Adam was created in the second one after day 7, right? And there were Neanderthals created on day 6 of creation, right? So there are Neanderthals, humans, then there are Nephilim, and then there are the creations. The recent creations of the Nephilim, I would call them clones. We might call them NPCs. Right? Again, I'm not going to talk too much about it because I talk about it in the talk. But there's the NPCs, Nephilim, humans or man, and Neanderthals. And the 5th one are mixtures of all of the above. Okay, so there aren't really root races. There was essentially, yes, there was a pre-human, right, which would have lived completely separate from humans. So, you know, because there's actually a lot of this earth that hasn't been explored. You know, you think that we've explored the whole of this earth. No, there's a lot of this earth that no man has ever set foot. Okay, and that's where you'll find that, yeah, there are what we call Bigfoots, but they're Neanderthals. There are still. Okay, wow. So man was supposed to be, you know, essentially the only one here, right? Next to the Neanderthals, perhaps. But then the Nephilim, you know, the fallen angels came in and corrupted man. So that bloodline just split into 2 as such. And they've been trying to mix back into it and corrupt Adam's bloodline. Yeah, we're in the end game of that. The book says that, you know, in these days they will try and mingle themselves with the seed of man again, and that is kind of what's going on. And it's very difficult to talk about this without triggering some people, yeah, because you know, you start talking of race and you start talking about what the truth is. Some people don't like it; it doesn't sit well with them. When I talk about who the original Irish were, for instance, the original Irish were black people.
Blacks.
Right? Yes, and the real Irish people are in the Caribbean right now and in the Americas right now, right? Because that's where they were transported to by Oliver Cromwell. The people in Ireland right now are actually German descendants, English, Germans, Anglo-Saxons. Yeah. But when you try and show them the evidence, but no, they don't want to know that because they're proud Irish, but they're not actually Irish. You know,
I think this comes down to, sorry to interrupt, Dave, I just have to say, because I really feel like this comes into being detached when it comes to our beliefs. For me, like, I don't really attach myself to many beliefs. I feel like I'm just very open, and I like to absorb knowledge. That's just how my mind works. And of course, I have certain beliefs that shape my life, that allow me to move and navigate through life. But I guess what you're trying to say is come with an open mind, is what we're saying to people, right?
Yeah, well, this talk isn't going to be challenging too many people's beliefs in that way. But as I said, in this journey that I've been on, you know, I started out just after 9/11 saying, okay, what is the truth behind this world? What is really going on? And I didn't try and qualify it by saying, okay, well, what's the truth behind this or that? I just let it flow. Okay, so finding out about 9/11 led me to find out about who was behind it. And then that led me on to this idea that there are people who are trying to take over the world and kill people and what have you. And then that led me on to finding out that the mechanism they're using is money, and that's not what we think it is either. And then that led me on to the legal system that was defending there. And then that led me on to the healthcare system. And that led me on, and so on and so on. That led me on to the flat earth. And, so I'm just looking for the truth. And we have a compass that's already built into us, right? We know truth when we hear it, okay? And the reason that we've been fooled by this society is because they usually wrap their lies in a blanket of truth, so that when we swallow the truth, we actually take in the lies, and then we get led away by those lies. Yeah, but we inherently know when we tap into our intuition, we know what the truth when we hear it. But there's so many people that are totally divorced from their intuition these days because they're in their left brain, right? And this is what this society is about, keeping you locked in your left brain.
Yeah.
Right? And so you don't listen to your inner tuition, yeah, your inner teaching, yeah. And your intuition will never steer you wrong. If you ever saw who's that? I'm trying to remember that snooker player. There was a snooker player who was just like phenomenal. Just walk up to the table and just whack it in. Steve something, can't remember. Anyway, when you saw him play, he wouldn't go to the table and sit there and line up the shot, right? And if he did, he'd miss it, right?
Wow.
He would go up to it and intuitively know how to hit that ball, and he hit it, and it would go straight in. Yeah.
Wow.
You see people. I've seen somebody who can fire a bow and arrow, yeah, on horseback, right? If somebody fires an arrow at him, he can hit that arrow. He can make that arrow go around corners. He can do all these things without thinking about it, because intuitively he knows how to use that and how to, he doesn't line anything up, stand there all that doing this. No, he just goes and he'll get it, right? Because your intuition is never wrong. It has, you have access to the whole of time and space, right? The whole of all experience, all knowledge, all skill. Yeah. And the proof of it, the absolute proof of this, is something that's just come out not long ago. I advise people to go and take a listen, if they can, to the telepathy tapes, right? So the telepathy tapes are all about how non-verbal autistic children, right, who were up until now, and according to the system, they're still considered vegetables. They're considered that there's nothing in there, nothing going on. They're just, vegetables that are moving around. Okay. Now, obviously, they can't communicate. They can't be taught. They can't speak. They, apparently can't understand you when you speak to them. The parents of these children have been saying for years that these children literally know what they're thinking. Right? But nobody's listening to the parents. They're just saying, oh, that's anecdotal evidence, doesn't mean anything. Right? So it wasn't until somebody decided, okay, these children can't speak, but if we draw the letters of the alphabet on a board and get the children to point to the letters, perhaps they can communicate that way. And they could. Okay. Wow. They found that these non-verbal autistic children could spell out words and then communicate that way. Yeah. And as soon as they could communicate, the people found out that these children could speak multiple languages. Right? advanced physics, art, music, all this stuff that they weren't taught, they already knew.
Advanced
Because
physics. Wow.
of everything. You've seen autistic savants who will walk up to a piano and just know how to play, or you tell them, okay, what day was the 5th of January, 1654, and I was like, oh, it's a Tuesday, right?
It was a Tuesday.
Because they have access to everything, like we have access to everything. Okay. Yeah. The only problem is their left brain, which, our left brain literally links us to this dimension, right? Links us to the here and now. Okay. So their left brain doesn't work quite so well, or doesn't work the way ours does. So they're disconnected from this dimension, as it were. Most of these children don't know they have bodies.
Wow.
Right? That's why they're hitting things so that they know they've got a body.
Wow.
Right? And this is what one of them said. This is why I'm hitting, so I know that I've got a body here. Yeah. And so we've been implanted with a completely wrong view of this world, a wrong view of reality. Okay. And so we're living in this totally disabled state. And we've been shown the way by these non-verbal autistic children that we've treated horribly, because everyone believes that they're vegetables and there's nothing going on. And these children, they meet on this other dimensional plane, maybe I call it a fourth dimension, maybe, right? In this plane, they meet on a place they call the hill. So all these non-verbal children, from all over the world, come together in this place they've created called the hill, and they speak to each other.
Wow.
And it's been proved that's what's happening, because obviously these children from different parts of the world never met each other. They bring them together, and they know everything about the other person, because they've been speaking to them for ages. Right? What's really interesting about these children, now there's a scientist called Jacobo Grinberg. He's a Mexican scientist. He was a Mexican scientist who was, researching consciousness and all that. And he realized that when somebody's brain hemispheres become synchronized, now they've got access, conscious access to, telepathy, to all these so-called supernatural abilities. Okay. But our brains are totally out of sync. Okay. These autistic children have brains that are in sync.
Wow.
Okay. Now, what this scientist worked out was that when a neurotypical, right, one of us, spends time with somebody whose hemispheres are totally synchronized, they will bring you up to their level. Okay. And their sort of synchronization suffers a little bit, but they bring you up just by being in their presence. They bring you up to their level, right? And it turned out to be true, because in the telepathy tapes, one of the researchers that spent a long time working with these autistic children finally made it to the hill. They got to the hill, and they were allowed to be there and converse.
Wow.
Right? So I believe this is again, I'm giving away some of the talk because I'm getting into that mode now. But okay.
Save it for Sunday. Save it for Sunday.
Oh, Sunday, I'll save it. Yeah. But yeah, they seem to be, I believe, they're the future of humanity. Okay. They're going to actually be the catalyst to bring us into the fourth dimension, I believe, perhaps. Yeah.
This is profound. I have a non-verbal autistic brother, and I'm gonna next time I see him, I'm looking at my leader. It seems like now it's someone who's actually anchoring in the fourth dimension in this dimension for us. And it's a lot of people in the chat right now are saying how they're working with autistic people. Someone says here, I have a sister with high-level autism and minimal verbal. This is blowing my mind. So it's starting to put a profound respect on their experience and journey, and allowing us to know that actually they're like portals to the fourth dimension for us. And if we can honor them like that, instead of like putting them into the corner, which a lot of society do, then we can really start to have a deeper relationship with ourselves through them.
Right. So very first thing, find the Telepathy Tapes podcast.
Okay.
I think it's telepathytapes.com or something like that. Yeah. And just listen to what's been going on. Okay. And what some of the parents have been saying, now that they know that there's somebody in there. Yeah.
Wow.
They've found that that they've been communicating with them in their dreams, using dreams.
Wow.
Yeah. So I would suggest, if you have somebody close to you that is autistic, non-verbal autistic, right, sit with them, right, clear your mind and pretend that you're telepathic. Pretend that you're because that autistic child is telepathic. They have that ability. Yeah, they know what you're thinking. Right? And as I said, a lot of the parents were saying they know what I'm thinking. Yeah. So pretend that you are telepathic. So sit with them, right, and speak to them telepathically, right, and see what happens. It might not happen straight away, right, but you might find that they will change because they realize that you are trying to talk to them. And then when you go to sleep, right, again, set the intention before you fall asleep. Set the intention that I want to hear from, right, whoever it is. I want to get a message. I want to hear, and then see what happens. Maybe you will get a message, and then you can go and confirm telepathically if you got a message from them. Again, if you listen to the telepathy tapes, you'll find that's what happened to one of the parents.
Dave, is it by someone called Kai Dickens?
Yes.
Okay, I found it. Yeah, it's free on Spotify, YouTube, so people can find that. That's incredible.
Amazing. That's
Can't wait to send this to my stepmom.
Yeah, that's
and this would mean potentially, allegedly, Dave, yeah, that a lot of these children have autism because of vaccine damage, but in a sense they chose that to on purpose for their incarnation, maybe.
Again,
like it was some kind of divinity there.
Again, I don't think we have a choice in this matter, because again, this is a free will world, right? But what I see is that we're in the middle of a chess match. Okay? So think what happened in 1948, right? Okay, the people pretending to be the Israelites of the Old Testament moved into Israel, right? That was a move by the other side. Okay.
Yeah.
At the same time, in 1948, the Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered, which literally gave the game plan. It literally said, this is what they're going to do. This is how it's going to work. This is what's going to happen in the end.
Yeah.
Would have been, all that information has been stripped out of the world by the Vatican, right, for generations and stuff. And yet, at the same time as the adversary made a move, the Most High made a move. Okay, so the adversary has made the move to try again destroy the family by inducing autism into children with these jabs, right? So that's a move by the adversary. We've got them now, right? These children are going to be useless to start families. Yeah. But the upside of it is you've now unlocked these powers that they've been trying to hide. Yeah. So counter move.
Wow.
That's the way I see it.
I love how you put that. Yeah. So Sunday, this Sunday in London at 11 a.m. We've still got tickets available to your talk. It will be live streamed as well. So people can buy tickets live stream, or they can come and see you in person. but there is something special and secret happening there, which makes this talk quite unique. But really what we want to express is on Sunday, a lot of people are going to be walking away with tools and new perceptions on how to navigate their reality. Is that correct in what I'm saying?
Yes, and again, when you realize how this game works and what the whole point of it is, right, I should imagine a lot of fear will just melt away, right? And you realize that you are part of something much bigger than yourselves.
Yes.
And this game that we're playing isn't the important part of it. Yeah. I got, when I got to the end of the talk last night, I got emotional. I literally, I felt the emotion, this amazing emotion of awe and gratitude and so many words that I can't find them. But I nearly had a tear in my eyes I just relive this experience. And actually, funny enough, I went to see my girlfriend after I came, on my way back here, because I woke up with another idea of a product that will, I think, help anybody not only lose the fear of things, but gain courage, understand, or have that feeling of being loved, or all the things that you might find that you're lacking. I think I found a way to give that to people based on what I've learned in this talk, actually.
Are you going to
in a product?
In a product.
Are you going to be announcing that on Sunday?
I'm not going to announce it, because as soon as if I announce it, somebody else is going to do a kind of cheap knockoff version of it, and it will lose its power and authenticity. Yeah.
Wow.
But this what I'm thinking of is profound, and I know it works because knowing how this world really works, knowing what we are, I've just found a way to implement that so that I can implant anything into you, anything that you know it's desirable, anything that you feel that you're lacking. Say you're lacking the courage to do things, to do something. I found a way to give you that courage, right? To give you the courage of a lion, or courage of somebody who's overcome something themselves. Yeah. So anyway, you
sound a bit like Elon Musk with the Neuralink, but like the benevolent version, some kind of crazy product which is kind of like
the natural way.
The natural way. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because the artificial way will always come with side effects and bad things. But yeah. So what I'm saying is that came out of it for me, just because I gave the talk for the first time, right? This idea of this product came to me, and I was like, whoa, okay. If I know the world has changed, but if I'd come up with this idea 10 years ago, this would be huge now. Yeah. It's still going to be huge, but yeah. Yeah, well, if we start doing it, I'll give out details later. But yeah, see what we do with it.
Definitely sounds exciting.
Oh, you're teasing us.
Yeah, a little teaser there, Yeah, so Sunday we still have tickets available for you guys to come and see Dave, meet Dave, ask questions to Dave, and yeah, Indy, you want to say anything?
No, just so many questions, but then I have to just remain present when I'm with you, Dave. So I'm not holding on to questions. I'm allowing, because you just move and it just moves through me, and already I'm feeling the upgrades, and I can't wait to join you on this journey. And it sounds like the Most High gave you a gift for your courage for doing this. It's now, here's an idea. This is going to help you financially, everything. This is another, here's a product. Take this. And like one thing I want to end with is, when you have the courage to live in your authentic life and light and truth, and you unattach as much as you can from this satanic system, whatever you want to call it, you have to have faith that the Most High will open up every door. It will move obstacles out of the way. A lot of people don't have that courage to take that leap. And for me, and it seems like what we're all trying to do is just awaken the sleeping lions to have that courage to take that leap, because everything falls after that, you know, bailiffs, mortgages, police, standing under, all of that stuff comes after when you know who you truly are, and you're no longer a sleeping lion. So just, yeah, thank you, Alex. Thank you, Dave, for being part of the reason I'm not a sleeping lion, because 2020, straw man nature of the cage, you awoke me. You helped to make me realize, wow. So, you know, 6 years on and we're here winning.
Yeah. I was going to say something, but then you added that little bit on the end. Now I've forgotten what I was going to say.
I hate when that happens. Oh my God. But I was going to add, go on.
What was that? What was the crux of the first thing you said?
I was talking about just like having the courage to be able to do what you need to do, and then God opens up the doors for you.
That was it. Because what changed it for me was, again, Terence McKenna. He's got a very short 3-minute talk called "Nature Loves Courage." Yeah, and what he talks about is that it's the world is here to help you. Right? Wow. The world, you know, you are the world, right? And you are here to help yourself. And you know, the world is here to help you, but you have to meet it halfway. Yeah, you have to take the leap of faith. Yes. Yeah. And he says it's like jumping off a cliff in the dark, right? Knowing that there's a feather bed at the bottom. Wow. Right. But you have to make that leap. And when you make that leap, right, the Most High, the world, the universe, whatever you want to call it, will just remove all obstacles out of your way. Yes. And this is what I said to that.
Wow.
Did he pause? Is he still there?
Oh, I've dropped off.
There you go. You're back. Yeah, we're back.
Yeah. So I was saying, that's what I was saying to this person who was asking me about jumping out of the matrix. I said, when you're living your purpose, right, then the Most High is going to remove all the obstacles out of your way, right, and you know, you'll get swept along by a current that helps you along the way.
That has totally been my experience.
Yes.
For me, I left my corporate job like a few years ago, and to this day, when I look back and I look over, I'm just like, I don't know how I'm still here, like living, you know, like, but I'm still living my life. Nothing bad has happened to me. I'm not homeless, you know what I mean? And it's like, on top of that, I would say that there's a lot of other people that come into your life, like the way that Indy has come on board, like Indy's really activated me. He's been healing me in certain ways. Like, I really feel that the things that I've gone through this year around what I'm creating with Ascending Tribe, I couldn't have done without Indy, you know. And it's just like, even other people as well, like not just Indy, but other people come onto your path that you resonate with, and they really help. Like, there's like a symbiotic relationship going on, like yeah.
But you're still not getting my talk here, right? Because think about it, okay? What you do is connect people, okay? So think of it as like you're a part of the human body, yeah? You'd be like connective tissue, right? My thing is to, again, help and inspire people, to teach people, yeah? Maybe I'm a brain cell, yeah? Right? There are people who teach other people to love, heart cell. Yeah, there are people who know how to recycle waste. Yeah, they're the sort of the renal system. Yeah, we are, you know, it's a self-similar at every level. Yeah, if you act your purpose, right, you enjoy doing it. Your heart cells are heart cells because they want to be heart cells. They love being heart cells. Yeah. And there's a person out there who, you know, people out there who are doing every job that the body needs to be done. The only problem right now is that a cancer has been introduced into the body. And that cancer, what cancer does, it takes normal healthy cells and turn them into cancerous cells. Right? So, you know, what we're doing is that we're healing the earth of this cancer, right, by being our authentic selves, by being a cancerous cell, and let's say, oh, you know, I'm going to be a heart cell again. Yeah. Right. And then hoping to induce other cancer cells to no, don't be a cancer, be what you're meant to be. Yeah.
This is why we're all coming together in our authentic selves to be the pieces to keep things moving forward. Yeah, I love it. Thank you so much for your time, Dave. You're amazing. You activate us always.
Always. Can't wait for Sunday.
Yeah, looking forward to Sunday, looking forward to giving you a big hug, and most of all, looking forward to your talk. Yeah,
try not to be too scared about the surprise part, but
the surprise announcement, but we're looking forward to it. So yeah, we are with you, we're holding you, we're with you all the way, Dave. We're looking forward to seeing you Sunday, and thank you again for your time. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Take care.
Much love. Take care. Bye, everyone.